Hello, welcome to another video on interview basics presented by the Geeks. I'm Javier,
And I'm Karen.
and together we are the
Gov
Geeks. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, Karen, I believe this is our fourth in our 9-part series, and today what are we talking about?
Today we're talking about how to show you are a good fit.
Right. Yeah, very important. When you're sitting down in the interview, you want to make sure that you're a good fit for that opportunity. They should know, yeah, this person is going to be fantastic. Well, absolutely. And the organization. And also that the organization is a good fit for you.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't go back and rearrange everything in your whole life just to kind of fit into wherever it is that you're going. You want to make sure that you are a ideal position for the position. That makes sense?
Ideal person.
You are an ideal person for the position. There we go. So anyhow, all right. So we have a couple of strategies for this, at least 3 today. Karen, what's the first one?
So the first one is make an effort to connect.
Right. So this is basically where you're going through their Facebook feed, memorizing everything about the people and just regurgitating it.
Well, not really. No, not at all.
Not at all.
No, that's not right.
Yeah. I think a lot of times when you go through an interview, you're feeling a very, nervous about it. And you're trying to kind of show that you're really qualified and all. But really the idea that you're sitting there means that you're already qualified. You've demonstrated that. Now they just need to see if this person is going to be a good fit. And of course, if they are going to be a good fit for you. So how can you make a good connection with someone?
Look them in the eyes, for one. Make sure that when you're talking with them, you're not talking at them. You're not just staring down, writing notes or staring at your resume. You are making that connection. And I think a lot of it is some of the small talk that kind of happens in the beginning. Right. And maybe you can talk about how you've researched their organization and you've seen different initiatives that they're working towards and how you would be able to help them towards that. Mm-hmm. So I think it's, again, not just that you're another resume, but that you are a person who's ideal for what they're looking for.
Yeah, definitely. I know when interviews are conducted, the person conducting it is really asking themselves, okay, is this person going to cause any issues or concerns with some of their partners? Are they going to perhaps ruffle feathers? How are they going to get along with the team? And if you come across as a person that is willing to connect, has some good conversations, then it's a little easier to understand that perhaps that person is going to work out well in the organization. Yeah, and I think the whole thing that you mentioned about small talk is honestly one of those most important things. Small talk can be something like, you're talking about family, you're talking about where you go on vacations, what shows you like to watch and everything. But at the end of the day, how important are family members when they're having conversations? I mean, connecting with people about that is a really big deal.
Right. Or where you're from, especially if you're interviewing somewhere in DC, that always comes up. Yeah. Where are you from?
A lot of people in DC are not from DC. Just kind of how it is here. Everyone chooses to make DC their home, which is a wonderful thing. But yes, taking the opportunity to connect with the person really at that level, I think is important, rather than just creating a facade about who you are, what you can offer. Definitely. Yeah. Okay, well, what's the next one?
The next one is to listen. Listen for the details behind the questions.
So kind of understand why they're asking that question, or how is it that connects to their bigger operations or their strategies about what they're trying to do.
And what is the theme of that question? Is it conflict management? Can you then glean that there might be some conflict management that you'll have to do in that position? So things like that.
So kind of trying to read between the lines to see what this is about. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, that definitely makes sense. And also that allows you to also provide your response in a way that addresses what they're looking for, really. And that's also a perfect opportunity for a follow-up question as well. Yeah. So more connections there.
And that's where you can be taking notes so that you can have those follow-up questions ready.
Absolutely. That's perfect. So what's the third one to make sure that you're a good fit?
The third one is to connect your values to theirs. We talk about values a lot.
Yeah.
And you just want to make sure that, first of all, you even know your values.
What's important to you?
right?
Honestly, yeah. We talked about this last week, I think, where a lot of the values that I had were about autonomy, freedom, the ability to make kind of certain decisions on how to operate within an organization, how
Mhm.
to execute plans or projects.
Yeah, mine was integrity, accountability. And so,
Right.
those were my values. So, an organization that I would belong to should also have those same values for it to be a good fit.
Yeah. And if you're having a good conversation with the individual conducting the interview or a panel, then you can kind of really see whether or not your values are connecting well enough with them. So if they're rushing in, if they have a lot of scheduled appointments, if they're talking about staying late, working on the weekends, a lot of timelines, pressures, if that's a type of environment that you feel comfortable in, a really high charged type of environment, well, that's fantastic because you don't want to be that high charged person and you go into a very relaxed culture and atmosphere, and then you're causing a lot of friction because
Right.
that's just how you're used to operating.
Unless that's what they're looking for,
Right.
then you really need to figure out, well, what is my role going to be if I'm coming into this very relaxed type of environment, but they want it to be high charged?
Right.
Because that's going to be an interesting dynamic if you come in there trying to change an entire culture of an organization.
And it's important to know that because if you and your potential supervisor agree with what that needs to be, then okay, you're coming in well informed rather than, you heard this from a lot of the different people from your networks and et cetera going into it. And then your boss is completely changing things around and you feel like, oh, this isn't what I signed up for. I didn't realize it was supposed to be like this. This isn't what I wanted. Yeah, that can be a bad thing. One of the things you can do is ask a little bit more of an open-ended question, like, how do you see this position fulfilling the organization's needs? Or what sort of qualifications do you think a person in this position should have? How do you see this role contributing towards your growth for this organization? For the division, the units, the branch, the office, all of that sort of stuff to get them to describe really what they're looking for. And then from there, you can see what they're saying in their response versus what you're observing in their questions
Mm-hmm.
and the environment. I mean, is it harried? Are they like they're like basically pulling out their hair, or is it just very like chill, relaxed?
Yeah, and you can sometimes tell that just from an interview.
Right. And honestly, listen to your gut. This is one of those big, important things. You've gone through a lot of experiences in your life. So at this point, when you're sitting back and you're evaluating the opportunity in front of you, really kind of see what you can feel this position looks like. That's very important. Okay. So, Karen, just to summarize, what are some ways that you can make sure that you are a good fit for the organization?
So you want to make sure that you make an effort to connect,
Absolutely.
listen for the details behind the
Mhm.
questions, and finally connect your values to theirs.
All three are fantastic strategies. So, thank you so much for joining us this week. This has been another great session in our 9-part series for interviews, helping you getting in and getting ahead in government. We look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much for your engagement and your service.
Thank you.